All right, well, I'm going to get started. I am recording this just so everybody knows, so that we can watch it later if you need to. So I'm going to share my screen now and I'll get us started on talking about spiked Legos.
Welcome to another Lunch and Learn. If you've been here before, we're glad to have you back. If this is new to you, we are glad that you have joined us. So if you have missed some Lunch and Learns in the past, you can go ahead and the same place that you got the link for this also has all of the recordings from our previous topics that we have done. I just want to mention a couple of opportunities and a couple of reminders before you go ahead and get started on your topic for today. First of all, we have a virtual and in-person student conference. The in-person student conference is in May, and you still have time to register for that. The virtual conference, we will be hosting most schools on March 7th, but it can be done at your own pace and your own time. So if you are still interested in that asynchronous learning environment, there's lots of great resources. Just reach out to me, donna.netzer@maine.gov. I also send out a newsletter twice a month. I try to do it every 2 weeks. It has 3 resources or 2 resources and an opportunity. There's lots of different stuff in there, and I just added an AI spotlight. So make sure that you are looking for that. We have a couple of opportunities coming from the Consortium on Digital Citizenship and a Choose Your Own Adventure professional development. So Tim Reynolds will be sending out some emails on that fairly soon. And as you are thinking about next year, I know sometimes it's hard to think that far ahead. Just remember that our team, the MLTI team, the Learning Through Technology team, provides free professional development, and we can tailor it to what your school or your district needs. So don't hesitate to reach out as you are planning ahead. Thank you and have a wonderful session.
I'm going to go back. I skipped ahead a little bit. So my name's AJ Rogg, and I am an MLTI ambassador. My contact information is right under my picture with my dog. Today we're just going to talk about Lego Spike, the robots that hopefully you purchased through the DOE. I know there were 2 kits that came with that. So first is really deciding if you have the Essentials kit or the Prime kit. Basically, an elementary is the Essential kit. The Prime kit would be your middle school kit. The mechanics, the interfaces are almost identical. You just have different, as you can see in the picture on the screen, you have a few different tools, a few different pieces, and obviously the units and items that you're creating will be different as well. So I will be talking mostly about Prime. So if you have questions about Essential, please put those in the chat and I will try to get to those at the end, or save your questions. I have a little time at the end for questions and I'd be happy to answer those for you. So the big thing is, where do we start? So with Spike Legos, you have basically 3 options of how to get yourself and your students into the program. So one is, if you have Chromebooks, there is a way to just launch a web app. So it's just right to the web, and it runs just like a download. The second option for iPads is to get the app on the iPad. So the Lego Spike Lego Education app is something that you would need to download. Maybe talk to your IT department if it's a block, or should be free, but I know a lot of times districts tend to block just downloading things. Maybe they could do a mass download for you. And then finally, if you are using Macs, or if you have HPs, there is a way to actually download the program onto your kids' devices with a quick download. It doesn't take too long. On all 3 of these slides, I have a link. That Spike Education link at the bottom will take you to those choices. Each of these items here, this Mac OS, is a drop-down menu that has all the options. This download, again, has the options for launching the web or downloading or getting the app, depending on which item you chose. So that's number one, is practice on your teacher computer. Make sure you understand the process before you decide to go into your classroom and have that day with the kids where you're downloading the app or launching the web, and making sure you really understand how that works, because we all know that on the day of, things can go crazy. So make sure you practice with that. For me, I really highly encourage, and I think most teachers know this, to take time to play with this yourself. Preferably if you have other teachers who are going to be using it as well. Get together, get a couple kits out. There are some tutorials on the peripherals, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then I would go through at least 2 of the lessons, the guided units, together, just to make sure you understand the build process, the coding process, make sure it works for you. Any kinks that you come across, obviously, would be beneficial to have under your belt before inevitably the students will have that same question or run into the same problems or need your assistance, and you definitely want to be prepared for that. So learning the basics. So when you do open up the Spike, you have the choice of what's called the start menu. And start is basically looking at each of the peripherals that come with your kit. So it takes you into programming the actual power box, the light matrix. So you get to change the smiley face. You can make it into a heart. You can do a wink, those kind of things. So it allows you to hook that up to your laptop and play with it and understand how that one works. Again, with the motor, the color sensor, the motion sensor, force sensor, and the gyro sensor. So I would highly encourage you to go and try each one of those, hook each one of those up, play with those, go through the little tutorial on how they work, so that you have a good and better understanding of what the units are asking for or what the kids might be looking to do with their Legos. And then you'll have that an information right ready for them, having at least seen how each of those pieces work for your Lego kits. So once you've done the basics and you understand those peripherals, then I would have you go and pick one of the units. Honestly, you can pick any unit that looks exciting to you. You can start at the beginning. The big thing is when you first get in there, the first thing you're going to want to do is get into this, what's called the Lego Spike building interface. So the first, this says 02 of 6. 01 of 6 is actually a little video that will kind of show what the project will be able to do in the end. So it kind of gives you that heads up of what the kids will be seeing. Then the second thing you're going to want to do is hit the build button. And the build button is going to guide your students and yourself through the process of building the item that is going to be coded later in the unit. So the first thing the kids need to do is build it. I do want to do a quick pause here real quick. If you hear weird noises in the back, I do have my dog here, so that's what you might hear. So it is step by step. They will give you the pieces that you need at the top of the screen. They will show you with arrows or items how they are locked into the full unit. And, you know, this is just like you get when you buy a Lego kit at the store and you're building the Star Wars Death Star. It's piece by piece and it tells you exactly how to put it together. So it's a lot of fun. It does take some time. And then once you're through the build interface, you would hit the right arrow and then you would get yourself into the actual oops, I think I put this out into the coding interface. So this is where the students have created the object that they are going to work with. The nice thing about these units is that the code blocks for the unit are just the ones you're going to be using. So they don't give you the full set of all of the blocks. It really narrows it down for the kids to know exactly which ones they're going to be using, and that's all they're going to be using. It will guide you with little highlights of which block and where to put it and where to bring it. It'll highlight if it needs you to change the amount of seconds or the number that should show up on the screen or the motor speed or percentage of speed, things like that. So all of that is highlighted and flashed, and they will once in a while give you these little text boxes that give you information as well. A couple things that you'll have to realize is there is a connection to the actual block that you have to have. So that block has to be connected. And we'll go through that in just a second. I do want to go back real quick and just show you that there is another part where you can just build items. So you have the start, which is the tutorial, the units, which is what I'm kind of showing you now. And then there's this build where if kids just want to build, this is where you would go to get the instructions. There are no coding pieces with this. It's just a building piece for kids to build items that they may want to take into a project of their own and code with. So for me, the one big thing is setting rules around the kits. So keeping track of who's working with what kit has been essential for me, just so that you know if things are missing or if a block is not charged, you know which students to talk to. So you're not having to ask a whole classroom of kids, hey, who is working with this one? So assigning a kit to a group of students, if you have, like me, teaching computer science over 4 classes a day, you might actually have to have one kit for 4 groups, but at least you can narrow it down to 4 groups instead of 4 classes of 25, which is a lot of kids to go figure out where things are. Keeping track of your time is amazingly necessary in this activity because a lot of these are set for 45 minutes. We all know that that's not necessarily going to happen for every group of students. There is the idea of having to build code and then take apart. Now, how you run that is totally up to you. Some teachers I've seen where they build code and take apart all in the same day. Sometimes they build code and then take apart the following day. But they are going to have times where they're going to need to build something new. So you're going to have to take it apart and keep track of that. Big part for me is keeping track of all the little Lego pieces. We know that Lego pieces go missing very easily. So that's something that I've always kind of tried to figure out how that's going to work. I haven't come up with a great piece yet. It does tell you how many pieces. You could do a piece check every couple weeks to see if they have certain pieces, make sure that none are missing. The peripherals obviously are probably the more expensive and the more necessary pieces. So making sure that those are there every day could be an easier task than every little connection piece or Lego block. Might not be able to check that every day. So, and then obviously you're going to come up with whatever rules and stuff that you think would be necessary for your classroom going forward. So this is where I would have questions, and I'm going to go to the site and kind of show the site a little bit. And if you have any questions, if you want to come on, or if you want to put them in the chat, I can grab those after as well. So when you go to the Lego site, you get your choice of Essentials or Prime. And I'm going to go to the prime one I'm more familiar with. So this is where you get the idea of home, start, which would be those tutorials that we talked about. Clicking on those tutorials is where you start learning what each of these peripherals do, how they would be used in an activity that you might run. And then it slowly starts having you put it together. So this is great visuals, easily to understand, even comes with the reading piece as well. So that's the tutorial piece, which is really nice. The units, lots of units you can choose from. It does give you grade levels here on the side. Those are approximate age ranges or grade levels. So go up or down depending on your group. And you know your students' abilities. So that would be up to you totally. Going into these activities, they do give you an approximate time, 30 to 45 minutes, 45 to 90. So some are a little bit longer. And when you press on these, this is that first little video I talked about that kind of shows you what will be happening here. And then going forward, this is where you would go into the build mode to go ahead and build Kiki, and then it would basically guide you through how to build Kiki with what items you're using, how to put them together, what it should look like in the end, and so on and so forth. So again, very nice visuals, pretty easy to follow. Hardest part is if you happen to not have the block that you need, and that can be a little frustrating for kids. Thus the reason of trying to keep track of where all your blocks are and making sure you have those at all the time. And then finally down here is that build piece. And again, these are just builds. They are not units. They are not coding, anything like that. So this would just be to build the driving base, to build the game master, the grabbers, and then you would need to go in and do some coding on your own for that. Now, to code on your own, let's go back here. Inside home, when you're here, this part right here where it says new project, open project, this is where you would go in if your students just want to program on their own. So if they want to go to one of those builds, they would build, they would hit new project. They can choose icon blocks, which is more of the essential kit mode of designing and coding. Word blocks, that's your Scratch type coding blocks. And then there is upper level where you can actually type in Python to create your code. And once you go in here, you get the full range of all of the tools that come with this program. It's laid out almost identical to Scratch. So a lot of kids have seen Scratch, code.org. What else? Google CS First. Everything's starting to look very, very much alike to the point where you can design your own variables, you can design your own blocks, you got your control event sounds, lights, probably a little bit different. But again, it's drag and drop. Anything that's in these drop down menus, you can change, directions you can change, all of that. The other piece is this connect piece, making sure you connect your item, your block. And when you go to do this and you turn your block on, if it is reading white and not shining green, this is where you would need to update it. This might take some time. So this would be another heads up before you start with your students, is making sure that all of the blocks have been updated so that kids aren't running in and you don't have 5 groups that can't do anything because they need to update, and 5 kids who are ready to rock and roll and fly through your 40-minute class. Well, 40 minutes later, you have kids who are just getting their cubes or blocks updated. So that might be a class in itself, is just doing an update. Once you click on the green, if it's green, you have a choice of either connecting by Bluetooth or by the USB cable. So if your device is Bluetooth compatible, that's one way to do it. If not, the cable does work very nicely. Sometimes cables are nice because you know they're working. And then once that's done, it's going to tell you that it's connected, and then you're ready to go. And then you can start programming that block to do what it needs to do. So that's a look through the website a little bit. And going back, let's leave out of here. All right. Oops, up there. I'm going to unshare. Stop sharing here. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. There. I'll share one last time. I just want to introduce our group that we have here. So I do have a teacher's resource link. Oops. Here. So on the last page, you have access to this presentation. These are links to your unit resources and videos. This is like a teacher side where you can go watch some videos, get some PDFs of some of the activities, learn a little bit about the activity itself before you start it. This is the prime one, and this would be the link to the essentials resources. Finally, I just want to introduce, this is our Learning Through Technology team. We are here to serve teachers and admin around the idea of technology in classrooms. And if you ever have a need or want to talk with us more, or have us possibly come to your school and work with you or your teachers or principals, please reach out to us. My link is right there. My email is right there. Definitely someone you can reach out to. If I can't answer your question, I guarantee that one of these people up on the screen can help us or figure out your needs and get to you. So please reach out. Hopefully this has been helpful getting you started on using Lego Spike. And if you want any more information or any more guidance and help, please do not hesitate to reach out, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So take care. And if you have any questions, I'll leave this open for a couple more minutes, and I will have the chat open if you want to ask me a quick question. If not, I will say goodbye. So I'll leave it on for a couple more minutes. I'm just going to stop the recording.